Oh my gosh, this is absolutely insane. I figured out that something huge is happening to the Fortnite map. Something crazy is changing, something's being added, and after a long time, I figured out exactly what it is. What's going on, everybody? Now I want you to stick around to see this whole video because I'm going to show you something incredible that I figured out. Now this took me forever to find out, but I finally did it, and I found undeniable proof of the spawn of an Egyptian god. An Egyptian god spawning in Fortnite, and I discovered not only exactly which god is going to spawn, but also the location of where that god is going to spawn and what that god is going to do. It's absolutely insane. It took me forever to figure out, so I want you to do this for me. Hit that like button down below and click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on your bell for notifications for all the unlimited, factually proved news that you can find on YouTube about Fortnite. Now this is absolutely insane, and I want to dive in and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Now you may be wondering, why am I standing here at Paradise Palms? What the heck am I doing all alone at Paradise Palms? It's a great question, and there's a very specific reason why I'm standing in this exact location. Not only just at Paradise Palms, but in this location specifically. But before I tell you that, I want to go back to where this all started and how I started getting this hunch of the fact that an Egyptian god was going to be spawning in Fortnite. So let's dive back a little bit and show you exactly where this started. During Season 4 of Fortnite, as we were getting to the end of Season 4 and leading into Season 5, there was a whole lot of speculation around what exactly Season 5 was going to be, how the map was going to change, and Fortnite was sending all kinds of hints about what was going to be happening exactly. But specifically, there was a ton of speculation around this idea of some Egyptian theme. Specifically, Fortnite going back in time, but specifically some sort of Egyptian theme. There was all kinds of articles on the internet, websites speculating about some Egyptian theme. Reddit even had a whole thread dedicated to the speculation of an Egyptian theme. YouTube videos were going out about Egyptian skins and what the map might look like in accordance with this Egyptian theme that people were speculating about. And even there were some hints by Fortnite that they put out that people looked at and said, hey, that might be an Egyptian god right there that Fortnite is alluding to. But obviously that didn't happen in Season 5. Now we have map changes and everything like that, but we can't sit here and say that it's an Egyptian theme right now. But there's a good reason why it didn't happen in Season 5, and I'm here to show you exactly why that is, as well as show you how I found the proof that it's happening in Season 6. So let's dive in. Now, when Season 5 dropped, there was this initial tweet from Fortnite that was somewhat cryptic. Now, at first glance, you wouldn't think anything of it, and I didn't think anything of it at first glance either. I just looked at this tweet like it was any other tweet from Fortnite and just scrolled on by, right? Cool tweet from Fortnite, give it a like, whatever, but just scrolled on by. But as I was a couple days into Season 5, and I was kind of exploring and I was thinking more about, is this Egyptian theme possible? Could it actually happen? I thought about this tweet again because it was so cryptic and so weird. I went back to take another look at it more closely. Now, when we look at this tweet closely, it just says, don't get comfortable, prepare, we're taking you way back. Now that's a little weird. It makes sense for Season 5 because the map changed and it's pretty much like things have gone back in time compared to the Season 4 map. But what does it mean exactly? What is Fortnite trying to say here? And that's what I was like, it hit me all of a sudden, there must be something more to this. Now, I know a little bit about Egyptian history. I'm not an expert and I don't have a degree, but I have studied it a little bit and I understand some things about it. So when I took a second look at this tweet, a few things stuck out to me that I was like, wait a second, I know some things that relate to that. And why is Fortnite framing it the way that they're framing? So when I look closer at this tweet, we look at it, don't get comfortable, prepare. We're taking you way back. Now, obviously on surface level, we're taking you way back. That obviously could allude to being taken way back in time. Fortnite doing something that's gonna take us way back in time. But when you look at specifically the number of words in each sentence, that's when I had my aha moment. The first sentence, 3 words. The second sentence, not even a sentence, just 1 word and a period. And the last sentence is 5 words. 315. What does 315 mean? Now, like I said, I have a little bit of understanding of Egyptian history and specifically Egyptian gods, and it hit me that in 3150 BCE, before Common Era, that's 3,150 years before the year 0, that's when widespread worship of the Egyptian god Osiris began. 315. Don't get comfortable, prepare, we're taking you way back. Obviously, Fortnite framed this tweet specifically in a way that alludes to the numbers 3, 1, and 5, and they would have a 0 there, but obviously you can't put a word that has no words. But 3150 BCE is when widespread worship of Osiris began, a clear allusion to the god Osiris from Egyptian history. Now, but why did this not happen in Season 5? Right? It doesn't make sense. There was all this hype around Season 5. There was gonna be some kind of taken back in time in Season 5. Why did this not happen in Season 5? So I started looking a little more into it, understanding a little better about, okay, if it's true that this tweet relates to 3150 BCE, then why hasn't it already happened in Season 5? Now get this, because this blew my mind. Although widespread worship happened in 3150 BCE of the Osiris god of Egyptian history, we first see signs of Osiris. Now, not widespread worship, but we first see initial signs of Osiris appearing in Egyptian history in 6000 BCE. Obviously, if it's 6000 BCE when Osiris first appears in Egyptian history, they're not going to put it in Season 5, they're going to wait until Season 6. So this was all blowing my mind. I was looking at all this and I was like, no way, I'm piecing this all together, figuring it out, spending so much time researching this, but I was like, you know what? It's not enough to just have this tweet. It's not enough to just have clearly the allusion to 3150 BCE when Osiris widespread worship began in Egypt, and obviously an understandable reason why Fortnite wouldn't put it in Season 5 and they would wait until Season 6. But I wanted to figure out exactly where this was going to spawn. At this point, it's just a theory, it's not proven yet, but if we can prove a spawn location, that takes it to the next level. So we had to figure out where this is going to spawn. So I started running around the Fortnite map, looking for hints, looking for clues. This took me days and days and days, and I couldn't figure it out. I didn't find anything, nothing obvious that I could find on the Fortnite map associated with Osiris. So I went back to my research, researching more about Osiris. And I found something really interesting, and that is, I had the hunch that maybe I'll look at the constellation. Lots of things have an associated constellation in the sky. Now, the Osiris god of Egypt has the constellation associated with it called Orion, Orion's constellation. So I found these 2 images of Orion's constellation, and I was like, this is perfect. What if I can find a clear indication where these constellations are associated on the Fortnite map? That would be a good idea of where the spawn location would be. And then on top of that, I made the choice, let's focus our efforts around Paradise Palms, because that's the most Egyptian-like area on the map right now as of Season 5. And so I started diving around, and I ran around Paradise Palms looking for different ideas where this constellation might be, where I might be able to find it, and I couldn't find it until I had the idea to take an aerial shot of the map and see if I could find Orion's constellation somewhere fitting on Paradise Palms in the Fortnite map. And that's exactly what happened. You can see that the Orion constellation fits perfectly in 3 mountaintops on the eastern side of Paradise Palms, as well as between 2 hillsides on the western side of Paradise Palms, with the 2 bottom edges of Orion's constellation shooting out away from Paradise Palms. Now, so the 5 major points here inside Paradise Palms make sense, but the area shooting out didn't quite make sense until you look a little closer and understand the Egyptian god Osiris even more. And when you look into the Egyptian god Osiris, Osiris was known specifically for teaching people how to farm effectively. Now, when we look at where these areas are pointing out from Orion's constellation, when it's laid over the perfect fit on Paradise Palms, we see that one is shooting out towards Fatal Fields and the other is shooting up towards Dusty Divot. Now that's interesting because obviously Fatal Fields is the only place on the map that is obviously a location of farming fields, effective farming, and then Dusty Divot is the location on the map where we've seen the most recent vegetation growth in Fortnite. As of Season 5, just exploded with vegetation. Now what do you get from effective farming? Effective vegetation growth. So it would make sense that the Orion constellation, laid out perfectly on Paradise Palms, shoots up towards Dusty Divot and out towards Fatal Fields. But even then, I wanted to get at least one more hint, one more piece of evidence that this was happening and that Paradise Palms was the location that this is going to go down. And sure enough, when you stand right at the center of Orion's constellation laid out over Paradise Palms, and you look directly up, at first glance, it doesn't seem like much, but as you get closer and analyze it a little more, sure enough, you see Orion's constellation in the sky. So obviously now we know without a doubt that an Egyptian god is spawning. We have Fortnite alluding to it with their tweet showing the exact date when Osiris worship began in Egypt. We see the constellation fitting perfectly over Paradise Palms, so we know for sure there's an Egyptian god Osiris spawning in Fortnite, and we know exactly where it's spawning, but the question becomes, what will it do? What's its purpose? It would be unlikely that the Egyptian god Osiris spawns in Fortnite and is roaming around all the time. That wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, at least not to me. It doesn't make sense. It seems pretty far-fetched, and we don't like far-fetched. We like hard facts. So looking at the god Osiris, which is what we have to do in order to understand or get an idea of what is going to happen when Osiris spawns in Fortnite, we understand that the Egyptian god Osiris was known as the farming god, like I said. And so my guess is, my speculation is this. Now, this isn't proven like everything else. This is a speculation based on factual information about Osiris. And that is that I'm speculating the Osiris spawn is going to serve similar to that of the current llama, but it will only provide materials. There's not going to be any weapons or traps that drop from the Osiris spawn. It'll be a stationary spawn, but it'll only drop materials because materials are most closely associated with vegetation in Fortnite. Now, I don't know if this is only going to be wood or if it's going to be brick, metal, and wood. It would make sense that it might only be wood because you would get the wood from vegetation, but it could be all three. But I think specifically because the god Osiris is so known for farming and vegetation, there's going to be a much higher rate of materials that drop from the Osiris spawn than you currently get from the llama. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to be the purpose of the Osiris spawn. Obviously, we know that Osiris is spawning, we know where Osiris is spawning, but let me know in the comment section exactly what you think the purpose of the Osiris spawn is going to be. If it's going to give you materials, if it's going to give you weapons, if it's going to be mobile, what you think that Osiris spawn is going to do. Also, make sure you obviously smash that like button. This took forever to figure out, to find this factual proof, so make sure you hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and turn your notifications on so that you can be notified every time I bring you factual proof of all upcoming Fortnite leaks and news.